What's up, dude? This steak frites is the kind of recipe that puts rings on fingers. It fills cribs with babies. Guys, take note. The way to a woman's heart has always been through her tummy. Now let's go. First things first, let's start by making probably the best fries you're ever gonna make at home. When it comes to French fries, I'm always using russet potatoes, and they always end up super crunchy and delicious. I like to start by topping and tailing them like this. We'll save all our scraps for breakfast potatoes, and I like to leave a little bit of the skin on, but take some off. So I'm gonna square them up just by trimming all the way around. Again, gonna save the scraps. I like the way a little bit of skin looks on my French fries. Now from here, you can slice with a knife, about like so. If you wanna make them smaller, go ahead. Stack it up, and from here, you can slice through into French fries, like palm frites, right? Nice and long and a little bit skinny. Or you can use a mandolin and slice through like so, which is definitely gonna give you a really nice consistent French fry shape. Either way works. Definitely one of my most used tools, link in description. And as you're working with your fries, slice one potato and then drop them into cold water right away. Otherwise they are gonna turn brown. If you have the foresight, you could change the water out a few times and then put it in the fridge overnight to pull out a lot of that excess starch, resulting in a crunchier fry. However, it's not totally necessary today. I'm just gonna change out that water about 3 times. At this point, we'll get them into a pot, filled up about halfway. Cover again with water, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, and 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. I first tried this method recently on French fries, and let me tell you, I'm not going back. It results in some really, really good stuff. Turn your gas on high and bring your fries to a boil. Once that comes to a boil, we're gonna start a 5-minute timer. If your French fries are cut thinner, you might wanna do 3 minutes. If they're thicker, maybe 6 to 7. When your time has elapsed, dump them out into a colander, let them steam for a minute, and then dump them out onto a sheet pan so they don't overcook. And for the first fry, we need to start them at 275 degrees Fahrenheit, although I would turn it up to 300 because when you put those potatoes in the fryer, it's gonna cool down that oil. And be really careful you don't put too many. You do not want this to overflow. And after just 3 minutes of blanch time, I'm gonna let them drain for a second here, and then get them out onto a sheet pan lined with a rack. And we're gonna repeat that process with the rest of our fries. At this point, they're totally cooked, as you can see right here. If I just smush one, it's all done. But they need that final fry, obviously, to get crispy. All you need to do now is let them sit here at room temperature for about 40 minutes. However, pro tip, if you wanna make a bunch of fries for future use, then I would bag them up and stick them in your freezer. This not only preserves them, but it makes them even crunchier when you fry them again. It's a great trick. While your French fries rest before getting that final fry, let's make the rosemary salt to season them. You are gonna be so happy you learned how to make this today. Start with kosher salt. Rosemary, of course, just strip it off the stem. A little bit of sage, and same deal, just pick the leaves off the stem. A little bit of garlic, and last but not least, some lemon zest. I'm just gonna pull around this lemon, add a little bit of freshness in here. Ooh, not bad at all. Now, lid on, and we're gonna blend. Just about a minute of blending and your rosemary salt is done. By the way, if you don't own a microplane, you definitely need this tool. Lemons, Parmesan cheese, garlic, ginger. Just for that alone, it's worth it. Store it in an airtight Tupperware container and keep it in your fridge. It will last for months, although I try to use it up within a few weeks for optimal freshness. And for our final fry, we're going at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 4 or 5 minutes. Again, I turned up the oil to 400 because these fries are gonna drop the temp. Once your time has elapsed, we're gonna pull these out. Beautiful golden brown. Get them into a bowl lined with paper towel. And now right when they're fresh out of that fryer, we're gonna immediately hit them with some of our rosemary salt. Toss, toss, toss. And that is how you finish your perfect French fries. Obviously, when I finish the steak, I'm gonna make them fresh, and I'll do everything at once. Try these fries, Marcus. Hell yeah.
These are fantastic.
If I were to get these at a restaurant, I would be back just for the fries.
They're mad good.
They're mad good. And he doesn't use that word mad unless it's mad true.
And it is mad true.
It's mad true.
It's mad true, they're mad good.
Not only are we making a flavor-packed pan sauce today, we're also gonna be making an incredible compound butter to go with this steak frites. Start with a medium pot over low heat. Gonna add a little bit of butter, unsalted. Once it's melted, I'm gonna add my shallots. Full recipe is gonna be in the description, very detailed. And we're gonna sweat these shallots down over low heat for about 10 minutes. You don't want them to be caramelized or have any color when you do this. This is called sweating. sweating. When they're done, dump them out onto something. I'm just putting them on a little tray. Now we need to cool them down, room temperature, although I'll just stick these in the fridge to do it fast, and I'll also spread them out like this so they cool down quicker. Away they go. Now we're taking 2 sticks of unsalted butter, our chilled shallots. It only took about 10 minutes in the fridge, some fresh cut chives, some fresh cut parsley, flat leaf, touch of lemon juice, and of course some salt. Last but not least, we're doing sweet paprika. Probably use smoky if you want, and optional, but I'm just doing a touch of Kashmiri chili powder because the red in here is just so beautiful. Mix thoroughly. Now we'll take a couple pieces of plastic. We'll lay our butter down, and we're gonna begin to roll it up here. Kind of shape it with your hands a little bit. You can make a small log, you can make a big log, do whatever you want. No rules here. Once you get up here though, you wanna pinch the edge and sort of just push forward. You can even spin it, make it into a nice cylinder shape. Keep pinching, keep rolling. Something just like this looks pretty good to me. And there's your beautiful compound butter done. Now stick it in the fridge to chill. Once your butter has chilled out, you can just slice right through and make these beautiful little circles. Obviously you want to peel off the plastic like so. In terms of what steak to choose, you could do one of the more expensive cuts like you see here to my right, or you could do some of these lesser known cuts that are way more cost effective and still really good. I had these prime ribeyes in the freezer, so that's what I'm using today. And hey, that is not going to be bad, right? I know meat is expensive these days, so I'm grateful to have this thing. I'm first going to oil it lightly all over. That kind of acts like a binder, so the seasoning will stick, and that's our next step. I'm going in with rosemary salt. If you know, you know. If you thought it was just for fries, you were very wrong. I'm going to get it all around the edge, and I like to just tap in that seasoning just a little bit. And next, my good friend Sergeant Gilbert reporting for duty. That's fresh ground, sentient black pepper. And personally, I don't like to do huge chunks, more finely ground. The reason I like to use finely ground pepper is because if you use big chunks of pepper, it literally lifts the steak off the pan. You lose your good sear, you lose your color, you lose your flavor. And of course, we'll dip up all these edges like so, and that is good to go. Before we cook this steak, let me tell you about the pan that I'm cooking it in from Made in Cookware, which I'm proud to say is the sponsor of today's video. And I've been using their products long before they ever did sponsor one of my videos. I truly love what Made in Cookware is doing because they are designing professional quality cookware for you, the home cook. And personally, through my 20 years of professional restaurant cooking, I look up to many different 2 and 3 Michelin star chefs. They're the top of the top, which is why I personally take comfort that 3 Michelin star restaurants like Alinea in Chicago and La Bernardine in New York use Made in Cookware's pans in their restaurants. Made in partners with multi-generational factories and artisans to help bring you a curated collection of materials and shapes that you need in the kitchen. And today we are talking about their carbon steel line, which is one of my favorites for cookware. This carbon steel pan can go from stovetop to oven and even open fire, and can handle temperatures up to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, all while remaining naturally non-stick and non-toxic. There's a really good reason carbon steel cookware is loved by so many chefs around the world. It's half the weight as cast iron and just as durable, and it also seasons faster and heats up quicker. You can check out the carbon steel collection and Made in's other cookware by clicking the link down in the description to save on your order. Thank you so much, Made in Cookware, for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to this steak frites. I got my pan here on medium-high heat, just adding a little bit of cooking oil. There's definitely a lot of ways to cook a steak. I'll put a link in the description for a video I have that really goes into detail about this. I'll show you the quick version right now. Pan's nice and smoky. Let's drop in our steak. Always lay it away from you this way, a little bit of pressure. After about 2 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a flip. It's got a beautiful sear going on here. Woo! That looks good. Continue searing on the other side. Another 2 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and take that out and let it rest. Keep your pan on, but turn the heat down a little bit. It's on medium-low right now. And I'm gonna first add shallot. 30 seconds later, I'm gonna add some garlic, and that has the skin still on to help protect it from burning. Immediately after, I'm gonna add unsalted butter. A good baste is all about controlling the heat. Too hot and the butter burns, too cold and you're not basting. So the heat's just low, right? There's still a lot of heat in that pan. You can see this butter is starting to foam like this. Now we put that steak back in. It's had a little bit of a chance to rest. Tilt the pan back and begin basting. And what I like to do is every 30 seconds, turn the meat and continue basting. One key point I want you to take home today is that usually when I'm cooking a steak for medium rare, I'm gonna pull it at 125, 127, 128, somewhere in that region. But when you're basting, there's a lot of extra heat from all that hot foaming butter. So you really wanna pull it at like 118, sometimes even less. It can get a little bit tricky, but just know that when you baste, it's gonna carry over cook much more. After about 2 minutes of basting, I'm just gonna take it out. It's not done now. I'm just letting it rest a little bit. I'm doing this on the heat, off the heat method, and that should help us by the end get a really edge-to-edge medium rare perfection without having to use something like a sous vide or reverse sear. It's a cool technique to do at home. Another 3-minute rest. I'm gonna put it back in, and I'm gonna continue basting and flipping every 30 seconds until it hits around 118, and then I'm gonna pull it out and let it rest to a beautiful medium rare. Look, some sauces in restaurants take 2 days to make. However, for me, it's hard to beat a good old-fashioned pan sauce. Here's how you do it. Use the same pan. I just dumped out the fat onto the steak as it rests. There's a little bit of fat left in there, but that's it. More importantly, there's a lot of good flavor left over from that steak that we don't want to waste. Pan's nice and hot. I'm starting with a little bit of cabernet sauvignon. You could use another kind of red wine. I'm also going to add a little touch of balsamic vinegar. I just love that little acidic hit in this sauce. And we're going to reduce this down until it's almost like gone. Remember, there's always going to be a little bit of alcohol left over when you cook with alcohol, although it will be mostly gone. It's not going to get anybody drunk. There we go. It's reduced down to like almost just a little over a tablespoon of liquid. Really concentrated. At this point, I'm adding beef broth. I got some homemade stuff. You could use store-bought, I really don't mind, whatever you want. Straight in, recipe will be in the description. That's 1 cup of stock. And now we're gonna let it reduce again. We're packing down flavor. At this point, our sauce has reduced by about 70%. I'm just adding a few little sprigs of thyme, a little bit of black pepper, touch of salt, but that totally depends on how salty your stock is, so just taste it. At this point, the sauce is reduced down. It's like a syrup. As you can see, look, it's nice and thick. Now turn the heat down all the way low. There's a lot of acidic elements in there right now, so we need to cut it with a little bit of butter, right? Cold, unsalted butter. Keep that heat really low and work in the butter. Turn the heat off when that butter's almost melted. There's plenty of heat in the pan. Now, give it a taste. Absolutely freaking delicious. Remember, if it gets too thick, you can always add a little bit of beef stock in there to thin it out, no problem. Only one thing left to do, my friends. Let's plate it up. Let's give this thing a taste. I'm not even really particularly hungry. I don't know, we eat stuff like this all the time. It's not even special, really. I'm kidding, this is insane. All right, let's go. Marcus, come on down.
Ready?
Well, let me, yes, sir. Oh my God, I'm gonna get into the cap of this thing. Oh. Dip it in the sauce.
Sauce it up.
Stick it in your mouth.
I would fight my actual mom for that, and she would understand.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm calling it how I see it. This tastes like something you would just get at a really good restaurant. Is that fair to say? Where you're like, oh, we go here like once a year.
I don't speak fancy. This whole thing's money.
God, dude.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for hanging out today. As always, links for all the products I use in my kitchen will be in the description underneath this video. We also have sweet merch now available to purchase. And if you want to keep learning today, there's another older version of steak frites with these little mini french fries that is phenomenal. And here is the steak masterclass video that I mentioned earlier. That is a great resource for you. Until next time, you know I love you and I'm out.